How's it going, all my fellow music producers? My name is TJ, and I am super excited to bring this little tips and tricks video to you today. What we're going to be going over is programming drums, specifically hip-hop drums. Now, this is super exciting because I've been a drummer for about the last 15 years. It is kind of my main squeeze instrument, so I am over the moon to be able to bring this to y'all. Now hold on. Before you go, if you are not interested in programming hip hop or rap drums, do not fear. I have a metal and rock programming drum tutorial. Please go ahead and check that video out if that's more of your jam. Without further ado, let's get into it. Alrighty. Now that we're opened up into Ableton, I got a little bit of a preset ready just to save a little bit of time, but I'm going to explain what I did just real quick. So right here I have a bunch of drum cells. A lot of DAWs have exactly things like this where you can load up specific drum samples into each individual cell. In Ableton, it is called the drum rack. You just load it right up, throw whatever drum samples you want right into there. Here's just a quick little example. There's a lot of one-shot samples out there. Again, you can find them all over. Boom. We got a kick sample loaded right up, ready to go. Now, what I did over here in this one was I selected just some kind of hip-hop drums. And I also made sure that they were all in the right key. I picked F sharp just for today, just to make things nice, low, and bassy. Anyway, this kick was already in F sharp. This was in G sharp, so I brought it down 2 steps. A real easy way to tell what key your drum is in is to use a spectrum analyzer, or in my case, an Ableton EQ, and it'll actually just tell me right on the grid where our key is at. So I can see the tail popping up right there. If I just bring my mouse up, as you can see down here in the corner, it is actually telling me that, boom, that guy is hitting right at about F sharp 0. So we know it is in F sharp after I did the transposition. So a real easy way to tell right there what key you're in. So moving along, I picked 2 kicks, one with a little bit more of that punchy little attack sound at the beginning, and one a little bit lower of a boom. I just picked some snares. Again, making sure to transpose that C sharp up to an F sharp. I also picked a crash cymbal, 2 hi-hat sounds, and then an open hi-hat sound. Now, one little thing I like to do to clean all of these up is, as you can see, a lot of them have kind of this extra tail on here that we don't really need. So I'm going to go through here and just clean all of these up. What I do is I just bring it on up, and then also make sure that there's kind of a nice fade. Something like that. And it just kind of helps clean up the sound. Alrighty, so a good tempo for hip hop is typically around 160. Obviously, it can range. I've seen it all over the place. Now, keep in mind that hip hop is counted in halftime. So even though we're at 160 beats per minute, this song is generally going to be counted at 80 beats per minute. Now, there's a lot of ways to achieve this, and we will go over a couple of them. Now, what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to throw up a MIDI clip. And what this allows me to do is, as you can see, all of our drum samples are programmed right up in here. I have all of these individual notes, and each one is according to, as you can see, there's a kick, a snare, a lot of all of those samples that we just loaded right up into here. A quick little tip on counting drums: you'll notice the snare drum usually lands on either the count 2 and 4, or just 3 if we're counting in halftime. So since we are at 160 beats per minute, we want it to feel like 80, we are going to put the snare drum on count 3. So back in our MIDI clip, as you can see right here, we have bar 1, 2, 3, and 4. It's a little 4-bar MIDI clip. And there is counts 1, 2, 3, and 4. So what we're going to go ahead and do is we're just going to put that snare drum on the count 3. So right here, go ahead and go in here and just double click. And if we hit play, now to really nail that downbeat, what we're going to have happen is we're going to have the kick hit. I have 2 kick samples and I'm going to be layering them together. So they're going to hit at the same time. Now, obviously in hip hop, there's kicks put wherever they please. That's kind of the nice little thing about it, is that it is very rhythmically active with the kick drum. Gives you a nice groove while that snare is holding that backbeat. So I'm just going to go ahead and program some kicks in here to get a groove going. And I just kind of randomly threw these in here, so let's see how it sounds. Awesome, so we're at a nice little starting point right here. Now to really make sure that that downbeat hits, I'm going to layer this kick with a crash cymbal. Now we can go through and maybe add some little accents with some claps. And let's not forget this cool little snare drum we have hiding in here. Now let's give it some backing time to just really drive it home. What we can do with that is we can add a little hi-hat in. I'm going to go ahead and set this to an 1/8 note grid. And what that means is that I'm only going to be seeing 1/8 notes. Now, like we were talking about, we had quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. As you can imagine, 1/8 notes is just fitting 8 notes into that bar. As you can imagine, 16th notes, 32nd notes is just fitting that many notes into a single bar. Obviously, the more notes you're fitting into there, the faster you're going. So with this 1/8 note grid, we can just go ahead and program these hi-hats in. Now right here at the start of this bar, I think I'm going to have the hi-hats speed up to 16th notes. Then we'll have it go back down to 8ths. And now just to finish off the bar, why don't we go ahead and make it go a little bit crazy with some 16th note triplets. Now triplets are just turning it, instead of 4, we're actually dealing with, as you can guess, triplets, that means 3. We have a basic hip-hop beat programmed now. That quick, that easy. Now to just really drive this home, what we're going to do is we're going to mess with actually the velocity of some of these samples. Now what velocity is just how loud these samples are hitting. Now right here at the end, these 16th note triplets, they're a little loud. So why don't we bring the velocity down on them so that they're just kind of a little bit more in the background. Much better. A nice way to also add a little bit of swing to some of these hi-hat patterns is we're actually going to select the 8th note or offbeat samples. Just like that. And we're going to bring the volume down. I guess I should say velocity. Nice. And as you can hear, doing those velocity changes on those hi-hats, it just added a little bit of that swing in there that you'll consistently hear. Please keep in mind that when programming drums, a lot of the time simple is better. So what I'll do often is go through what I programmed and take some notes out, simplify it. And simplifying it can open up space for a lot of other things to happen. So now that we have a basic drum programmed, we're free to be able to add anything on top of it that we want. There are a lot of phenomenal plugins out there that also have phenomenal drum libraries. Battery being one of them from Native Instruments. It has a lot of amazing EDM and hip hop drums. A lot of awesome stuff in here. We can just go ahead and load one of these up. I mean, just crazy wild sounds. And as you can also see, it's basically going to be the same thing. We can just make a little MIDI clip. Go in here. And each one of these MIDI roll notes is one of the sounds in Battery. Also, here's a little bit of an extra for you. If you really want to make your drums pump and punch, make sure to go ahead on over to the Native Instruments website and pick yourself up this Supercharger compressor. It is free. It's a free download, and I love this thing. I use it on a lot of drums. It's very simple. It's very straightforward. Here's a quick little 2 cents on how to use it. So as you can see, we have this input trim. It'll tell us right when we're doing well in the green, when we're going over, and also when we're under. So as you can see, you can just turn that down until we're hitting this nice green center. Just like that. Then what we can also do is we can add a little bit of punch, and if we want to add some extra crispness on top, we can add some dirt. Let's check that out. Ooh, it's doing work for us, and it's not even compressing yet. Now we're going to turn up this compressor. Turn that output down so we're not clipping. And these drums are already sounding pretty good. Let's just A/B that without the compressor. And with. As you can hear, it definitely fattened up. Maybe there's a little bit too much compression on there. I can hear some of those cymbals getting choked out when that kick and snare hits just because it's so much louder. But of course, you can always dial this in more. And boom, just like that, we have some basic drums programmed. Now, again, you can find a lot of samples all over online for free, so please go check those out. If you don't know a little bit of music theory, now I'm not saying a ton, I'm not saying you need to know how to do chords or you need to fully understand scales, but if you don't understand rhythm, basic rhythm like quarter notes, eighth notes, 16th notes, go down in the description, take an hour out of your day, go to that link and watch some of those things and learn how to understand that, because it's only going to make your drum programming turn into lightning speed. Hey guys, TJ here. Thank you so much for tuning into this tutorial. I hope that it helped you out. I hope you found something useful. And I also hope that maybe you had a good time while you were at it. If you want more of these tutorials, you want to hear more of the music that I'm making, please be sure to subscribe to this channel. Helps me out a ton. Help me help you, so to say. I'm also looking for requests. If there's any tips, tricks, anything like that you want to see, please drop a comment, send me a message, do that sort of a thing. Now, if you want to stay in touch with what I am doing on a daily, head over to my Instagram. You can find me under TJ Site, and I post just about everything there, man. I mean, music, what I'm doing with this channel, what I'm doing with my video game Twitch channel, what I'm doing with Evasite stuff, which, speaking of Evasite stuff, that is my solo hip-hop project. If you want to hear some of that music, what I'm doing with that sort of thing, you can find all that music on this channel as well. So again, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope this helped you out, and until next time.